All right, coming up, unclassified, an inside look at a government report about UFOs and close encounters. No evidence of aliens, but also no evidence that it's not aliens. I'll talk to one of the biggest voices calling for information on UFOs. There he is, the former Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid. We'll talk to him next. How's this for a headline? The U.S. is not ruling out extraterrestrial activity. Sources tell CNN the government, in its first ever unclassified report on unidentified flying objects, says that while there is no proof of aliens, it cannot explain more than 120 incidents over 20 years of strange objects that have appeared in the sky. Here's CNN's Randy Kay.
It's rotating.
A U.S. Navy aircraft captured images of that rotating thing back in January 2015 off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Also in 2015, just a few weeks later, this happened. Watch as a Navy aircrew struggles to lock onto a mysterious, fast-moving object off the Atlantic coast.
Oh, got it!
Roger, there's troubleshooting.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at it fly.
Former Navy fighter pilot Alex Dietrich told Anderson Cooper about spotting a strange flying object in the sky back in November 2004 off the coast of San Diego.
Enter stage left, the tic-tac, and that's what we affectionately refer to it as, because that's what it looked like.
It was about the size of an aircraft fuselage.
It was white, it was in sort of a matte finish, just like a tic-tac. And it behaved in a way that we were surprised, unnerved. It accelerated, or it almost didn't accelerate, right? It sort of jumped from spot to spot and tumbled around in a way that was unpredictable.
Former Navy Commander David Fravor was on the training mission with Dietrich and remembers how the object quickly maneuvered.
Like a ping pong ball bouncing off a wall, the ability to hover over the water and then start a vertical climb from basically zero up towards about 12,000 feet and then accelerate in less than 2 seconds and disappear is something I had never seen in my life.
So what was it? The government won't say, or maybe doesn't know. For decades, the Pentagon's research into these close encounters has been kept under wraps, along with the images and a now defunct $22 million program designed to investigate UFOs. So what are we to believe about moments like this?
Whoa, it's getting close. Whoa, splashed.
Members of the U.S. Navy captured that footage of an unidentified flying object spotted off the coast of California in July 2019, just before it vanished into the ocean. And with so few answers, extraterrestrials have become a favorite subject for conspiracy theorists, with much of the focus on a highly classified U.S. Air Force testing facility in Nevada, known as Area 51. Bob Lazar is the conspiracy theorist and former physicist who says he worked at the secretive government research site Area 51. He says he was hired to reverse engineer a flying saucer buried there.
This came from somewhere else. I mean, as bizarre as that is to believe, but I mean, it's there. I saw it.
Others have bought into his claims that the U.S. government buried extraterrestrial technology at Area 51.
It looks like sand. It's made to look like the side of the mountain that it's in, whether it's to disguise it from satellite photographs.
So until someone says for sure what's really out there,
no sound, no blinking lights, just this big illuminated form,
we'll be left still to wonder. Randy Kay, CNN, Miami.
And joining me now is former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. While in office, he secured the money for a now defunct Pentagon program investigating UFOs. He's also been one of the loudest voices calling for the government to release this information about these close encounters in the sky, or whatever these things are in the sky. So, Senator, let me ask you this. This report apparently says there's no evidence that these objects were alien spacecraft, but they're not ruling it out either. Were you hoping for more from this report? I know I was.
Well, I really had a preliminary run of what they were going to come up with, and it wasn't going to be much. That isn't much. My take on this is that they should continue the research on this. It shouldn't be a one and done. I believe that one of the things I did that I'm glad I did, I made a decision because of my curiosity that I thought we should find out what, if anything, there was to these UFOs. And that's when I went to Stevens from Alaska and in away from Hawaii. And said, I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to spend some money to corroborate what they were trying to find out. And Stevens said immediately, he said, good, I want to do this. He said, there was a pilot in World War II, and there was something was in the air off to my left. I would go up, down, around, got low on fuel, came back down, landed. I asked air traffic what that was. He said, we didn't see anything. So with the money that we got from the taxpayers, we found that I thought maybe there'd be a few dozen people saying they saw things like this, but we learned that there were hundreds and hundreds of them. And so even though my staff said, stay the hell away from this, I was something I was bound and determined to do. They said it would hurt me, my re-elections. Didn't hurt me that much. I got re-elected. So I think it's a good thing for the country. It's a good thing for the world. And the American people can accept the truth, whatever is the truth. We need to be transparent in everything we're doing in the government. Let the American people know what we're doing scientifically and otherwise.
And Senator, I have to ask you, because I know the folks at home will want me to ask this question. Do you believe that these UFOs are alien spacecraft? And is the government trying to cover it up? You were the Senate Majority Leader, Senator, for a long time here in Washington. What can you tell us about both of those questions? Do you think they exist, and is the government covering this up? I do not know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. No one does, to my knowledge, at this time. But that's why I say this task force that's going to report later this month should continue. We're not going to solve all the questions we have in a few weeks. We need to continue working on it. This is something that is interesting. It's important to the country, and it could be important to the world.
And in that report, Randy Kay referenced Area 51, which you actually got to visit when you were in office. What can you tell us about what you saw there? These questions about whether things are buried there. What did you see?
Let me tell you that here's my most graphic memory. There was a family by name Sheehan. They had a ranch, not a ranch, an old mining. It was kind of a place they would go on weekends and have picnics and barbecues. So one weekend they go up there and there's military police. Their property's barred off. And so what's this about? Well, the reason they did that is from that property of theirs, they could look down on Area 51. And that was the end of their weekend trips to their property. So I know Area 51. I've been there quite a few times. Saw some really interesting things. Much of it is still classified, but I remember looking at a Soviet helicopter that had come from someplace that we got. They also had a stealth helicopter they were working on at the time, was classified. So a lot of things went on at Area 51. It was just a short distance from there that we had the stealth fighter plane. There was people learned to fly, our airmen learned to fly there because the Soviet satellites would come over during the daytime, and of course they could see everything down there. So we did it at nighttime, so the Soviets couldn't see what we learned, what we were doing. And what they were doing is learning to fly these new airplanes. They did it all at night. Everything they did in pitch darkness. So it was very interesting. The Area 51 is important to the security of this country. It still is, and it has been for many decades.
And I'm sure you've seen that Joe Manchin has been back in the news, the senator from West Virginia, who you know well. There's all of this talk about whether he is, and folks like him standing in the way of reforming or getting rid of the filibuster in the Senate. What do you think should be done at this point? We saw the January 6th commission knocked down, even though there were more than 50 votes to approve that. Is it realistic to find 60 votes for much of anything these days? What use is the filibuster?
I wrote an op-ed for the New York Times several months ago where I said the filibuster's on its way out. It's not a question if, it's a question when it goes away. You cannot have a democracy where it takes 60% of the vote to get everything done. And the Republicans created the Senate when they were in charge. It was only a manufacturing site for new judges. So it's going to go away. It takes a simple majority vote. I proved when I was the leader, we wanted to change much of what we did with going from a super majority to just a simple majority. And it was the right thing to do at the time. And now is the time to get rid of the filibuster. And as I said, and I repeat, it's going to go away. It's a question of when. It's not good for the country. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's not in the Constitution. It's something that Congress developed, the Senate developed on their own. It's got to go away.
All right, Senator Reid, you've given us a lot to think about this afternoon. Great to see you as always. And maybe when we get more from this task force, we'll have you back on so we can discuss this further. Appreciate your curiosity in the subject of what's out there. We want to find out too.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you.